ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the newest installment of MITV. I'm your anchor, Brandon Krejci. Let's take a look at some of tonight's top stories. And now we have Nesta with a segment on the school's Glee Club. Take it away, Nesta.
Thanks, Brandon. Hey, this is Nesta Cooper back with a new episode of Girl Gossip in Pop Culture. This week, I'm going to be talking to you about the most important, most serious, and most special part of my life. Glee! So, as most of you may know, our school does have its own Glee Club. I mean, they call it the choir club, but that's just because they don't want to be slushy, right? So, I'm here with Will Tanner. Will, what is it like being part of the school's own Glee Club?
We don't have a Glee Club.
Oh, right, sorry. It's under the radar.
It's called choir. We don't have a Glee Club.
So, everyone knows which Glee character you will represent well.
I wanna hold your hand.
Kurt.
Why did we let her on the team?
Alright, so as you can see, I have found Artie.
Nesta! I don't sing and I don't dance.
So I'm still on the search for some more Glee Everyone! It's Puck! I found Puck! I'm here with the school's Quinn. What? Alright, so you're a cheerleader, right?
No, I don't.
And you want to win prom queen, right?
We don't have prom in Canada, Nesta.
And you think that you're the prettiest girl in the school,
no,
right?
Nesta, I don't know what you're
Here's
talking
our
about.
Quinn. Okay, I know you're all thinking it, but I'm just gonna say it. I'm obviously Rachel because I'm beautiful, intelligent, talented, and undervalued.
Hey, Nesta, if I have to be Artie, you have to be Mercedes.
Well, there you have it, Marcus Feld. Your own Glee Club. Back to you, Brandon.
Thanks, Nesta, but really, nobody on the sports teams would join choir. You know, unless they got invited. Now, changing the tone, we have a special segment with Will Tanner.
Alright, so we're here today with Dr. Claire Vanston, who is the sexual health educator for school district number 71. And Dr. Claire, could you tell me specifically what is sexual consent?
Sexual consent has some very clear parameters under the law. The law says that it must be actively established, which means that both people have to actually say yes with their words. It's not implied by body language or behavior. Sexual consent can be withdrawn at any time. So if somebody doesn't want to continue with the sexual touching, they can stop, and the partner is not allowed to whine and complain. That becomes sexual coercion. Sexual consent has to be clearly established and can't be ambivalent, which means a person can't be changing their mind, saying, "Oh yeah, I will," and then, "No, I don't want to." There's no consent if a person is changing their mind.
Right.
And of course, there is no sexual consent if a person is drunk or high or trolleyed or unconscious or asleep. So
Right.
there's no consent there.
Of course. When the police were here giving presentations to, I can only speak for the boys, but they made it sound as if we should basically be avoiding girls at all costs because if we so much as walk within 10 feet of them, there will be legal troubles. What can boys do to protect themselves in those kinds of scenarios?
Young men have control over their sexual urges. And if a young man, when he is thinking about having sex with a partner, that he realizes that if that partner doesn't share the same life values that he has around use of birth control, around consent, around sexually transmitted infections and protecting against them, that partner shares the same views and values that they do, that they know their partner well enough that nobody's going to get up the next morning and say, "Oh, I think a sexual assault occurred here," then that man is protecting himself. Also, in good sex, hot sex involves communication before touching. So if he uses terms like, "May I kiss you?" or "May I touch you?" before he actually does that, women hear respect. They hear that he cares more about both of their arousal than just his own, that he cares about both of them participating. Women are capable of the same levels of sexual arousal as men are. And sometimes we think that women are somehow sexually less urgent than men, and it's not the case. So if a man keeps those things in mind, he's never going to be in a situation involving a possible sexual assault, because he's gained consent by communicating first, and the person he's having sex with, he's sharing something that's very important and very intimate and very special, and he knows his partner well enough. Otherwise, he risks his future. So knowing your partner very, very well is critical in sexual consent.
Now, Dr. Clare, you're probably aware, as everybody is aware, that MITV recently aired a segment that involved a rather liberal use of the term LG. And, you know, we were unaware at the time of that it was such a serious problem. I was just wondering if you could inform the students what specifically is so offensive about the term LG and why it shouldn't be used as a running joke like it was.
Right. The primary reason that LG stands for little girl is offensive is because it suggests and endorses sexual coercion. The assumption here is that the partner, a male, is much older than the little girl, and that as an older person, he has the ability to use life experience and language to coerce her into sexual contact with him. And that is not only illegal, it's amoral. And we also degrade or dishonor our young women. So it's offensive to women, but it's also offensive to men because it suggests that men are just walking erections and they don't have other things going on in their lives. And that, of course, is so offensive to men because men are so much more than this head. This is the head that matters. This is where the IQ is. So it's offensive not only to our young women, but it's also offensive to men. A more troubling area, I think, because I think many people have got it, but a more troubling area is that young women will call each other this as a way to control their behavior. Calling somebody an LG, whether you're a male or female, is actually offensive. It's belittling and it's degrading, and it's a type of bullying behavior because what we want to do is we want to control, we want to be offensive, and we want to hurt somebody else. So LG is a problem, is a word that has a great deal of negative impact in a school like this school, because it kind of offends everybody, including the community of our school.
Dr. Clare, is there anything else you want to add on the issue of sexual health or LGs or anything like that?
Good. In a school like Isfeld, many students are not sexually active, and that's perfectly fine. We have the right to decide when we want to become sexually active, and there are family values around that. But some students are sexually active, and if a student is sexually active, it's very important that they really process this information around sexual consent, because ideally we want people to have My Great Sex Life, the series. Not just, a few bangs as a young person, but a great sex life, and sexual consent is a huge part of that.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Clare. This was a highly informative interview. I'm sure that the students found it helpful. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for clearing the air, Will. And again, our most sincere apologies. Well, I guess that concludes this episode. Don't forget to tune in next week when we introduce next year's MITV cast. Until then, have a great weekend. Stay frosty, Marcus Feld.